Hello, my name is Fenna. Welcome to Following Fenna. I am a certified coach and counselor, and I work with people in a Limerence episode and also with a partner. Now, why are people around 40, 50 more vulnerable for limerence? And if you are middle aged and you've suddenly become completely obsessed with a person in a way that feels overwhelming and maybe even unlike you, checking your phone constantly, not able to concentrate, only thinking about this person. And maybe you're feeling like a teenager, but not in the good way. Maybe you're not having a midlife crisis. Your hormones seem to be literally setting up your brain for limerence. And there's actually real science in what is happening in your brain and in your body. And of course, in this video, I'm going to explain to you what that is. Today, I am talking about why limerence seems to strike so many people in their midlife, around 40, in their 40s or in their 50s, or striking harder. Sometimes catching these people completely off guard. And if this is happening to you right now, or if you're maybe trying to understand someone who is going through this, maybe your partner, maybe your spouse, stick around because I'm going to give you a deep dive into the biology behind midlife limerence. Why are we more vulnerable at this age? And I'm here to give you 3 reasons. Reason number 1, we have the perfect hormonal feeding ground. So let's start with what is actually happening in our body around 50. And for women, when estrogen levels drop, something crucial happens to your brain. Because estrogen normally protects your neurotransmitters, specifically, it prevents the breakdown of dopamine and serotonin. Now, we've talked about dopamine and serotonin before. Without estrogen's protection, these mood regulating chemicals become unstable. Like I say, guess what? These are the exact same neurotransmitters. I sometimes call them hormones for the sake of making it more explainable, but they're neurotransmitters. They are involved in a limerent episode. Now, for men, a lot of my clients are men, by the way. You're not immune, unfortunately, because testosterone levels decline around 40. And by 50, many men are experiencing what is called an andropause. Testosterone helps regulate dopamine and serotonin, your brain rewards and mood system. And when this drops, you kind of lose that emotional stability that maybe you have had for decades. So by the age of 50, both men and women have brains that are neurochemically primed, or at least less protected for the addictive uncertainty that drives limerence. So your brain was already more unstable even before you met the other person who triggered the obsession. Reason number 2 is the sociological vulnerability. It's not only biologically. There are also psychological factors that make 40 and 50 plus year old particularly more vulnerable for a limerent episode. First, we have mortality awareness. That's universal. At 50, you're kind of aware that life is not forever. And maybe you've lost parents, maybe you've lost friends. And we're looking at your remaining years and wondering, okay, what's next? Is this it? Is this all there is? And we call that mortality salience. It's this hunger for intense experiences, to feel something really strong before it's too late. And when someone makes you feel alive due to the dopamine and energetic in a way that maybe you haven't felt for years, your brain will interpret that as this is your last chance of passionate love and you should go after it. Second, many 50-year-olds are reassessing their life choices. And maybe the marriage that felt right at 25 might feel different at best at 50. We're just not the same anymore. We're completely different at 50 when we were at 25. We've changed. There's also this sense of invisibility at this age, and that goes especially for women because society tells us, well, not literally, but it does tell us that romantic and our sexual life is kind of not that relevant anymore. So if someone sees you and sees you as desirable, it can feel like a validation of your worth, even as a human being. Also, I talk to a lot of limerent people who feel very much shame. They feel a lot of shame around their limerence during but also after, because they have built an entire identity and a life around being the stable, responsible, nurturing or provider, mature parent or spouse, for example. And suddenly, because of the limerence, that goes out the door. And because of limerence, they acted weird or desperate and out of control and immature, because that's what addictions do. And maybe you're not just dealing with the romantic rejection of the limerent object or perceived rejection, but also with the collapse of your identity, your self-image of the person that you were. So there are several combinations of factors, the unstable brain chemistry, the being less protected from the hormonal changes, plus the pressure of the now and never, that create the perfect storm for limerent obsession. And also it can explain why it feels more intense than maybe something you have ever experienced during your life, even if you have had multiple episodes during your life. There's normally always one that is the mother of them all, the biggest of them all, and normally that happens later on in life. Reason number 3, the higher stakes. What makes this even more tragic is that 50-year-olds have so much more to lose. You're not just risking heartbreak, which is devastating, but you're also probably destroying marriages that were built over decades, children's stability, professional reputation, financial security. And I've seen people abandon 30-year careers, for example, due to limerence. People divorce loyal spouses, they go bankrupt and abandon their children, all due to limerence. And all for someone that was never actually a fit or even available or sometimes interested in the same level of commitment. And the aftermath is often devastating. And there might be a lot of regret when people come out of the limerent fog, as we call it. But there's less time to rebuild, less social support for starting all over, leaving everything behind. There's more judgment, and often there's more permanent damage to family relationships. Now, if you're 40 or 50 and you're experiencing this big romantic obsession in limerence, please understand this isn't your character flaw or some sort of moral failing. Because like I said, your brain chemistry is genuinely different and unstable right now. It's different to compare to how it used to be, and there are hormonal changes, and that makes you more vulnerable for episodes and also have more disruptive, bigger episodes. And of course, that doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it does explain the intensity of what you're feeling. Now, most importantly, and I cannot say this enough, instead of seeking and chasing the limerent object, meaning the other person, for years, create some awareness that this is about you, your life, your needs, your childhood, your unmet needs, your marriage that maybe needs some attention, your dopamine, your nervous system, your values. Use the limerence as information about what is happening and what it is that you actually need. Maybe you need more passion in your current relationship. Maybe you need some changes. Maybe you need to have a more purpose in your life. Maybe you need to talk about your attachment wounds with a professional. Maybe again. The limerent object, meaning the other, is just a placeholder of the fantasy that represents your needs instead of fixing them. The fixing has to be done by you and you alone. The yellow is just a mirror showing you what you have to do. But you survived 40 or 50 decades on this planet. I'm sure you have the wisdom to navigate this once you learn that this has nothing to do with meeting your soulmate. And remember, you're not losing your mind. What you're experiencing is actually a documented phenomenon with clear biological underpinnings. If you want my help in one-on-one coaching, my email address is in the description below. And for now, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in another one. Bye.